Testing. All right. I think I need to stop procrastinating because for the last couple of days I kept not doing the things that I'm supposed to do, and it's almost close to midnight, and I still have the Arch live stream and two more videos to make. So shameful display. I need you to shame me, chat. I need you to shame me so I stop procrastinating. How about that? Should we talk about Russia? We'll talk about Russia. Or should we wait for some more people to arrive, huh? I already saw some doomers in the chat. I like V, but his political takes, oh my lord. I will tell you something. You know, let me tell you something. There are two types of Russian supporters. Let me close the door because there's echo. Alright, here we go. There are two types of Russian supporters that I've noticed. The first ones are like legitimately people from within Russia proper, which support their country. Those I understand. It's understandable, right? The other type are people who do not like the current Western government. You know, they do not like the World Economic Forum. They do not like the way their countries are run. And they believe that, well, if their countries are bad, then anything that opposes this is good. No, it's kind of like Game of Thrones, you know? Just because you don't like the Lannisters doesn't mean that Ramsay Bolton is better. I mean, no, seriously, like the Westerners who keep simping for Russia. I have a question. Have you ever been to Russia? But not like Moscow or St. Petersburg. No, like actual, you know, Russia proper, like maybe some rural villages. But have you been there? It's not nice, I'm telling you. Very poor. This is why most people don't want to go there. People try to run away from Russia, right? So it's just like that is the interesting thing, and what Westerners don't understand is when they look at Eastern Europeans, due to the geographical proximity of the country, you know, like how Russia doesn't want to border NATO, Eastern European nations don't want to border Russia. Like, it's a very inconveniencing neighbor. It's not nice to neighbor that country, historically speaking, and it's not to do with communism. It's like, I think like since it started offering protection money for Christian countries to protect them from the Ottomans, like since that is the point where Russia started assholishness towards Eastern Europe, like historically speaking. So yes, it's look, Vanilla Kong has been to Russia. Would you like to live there, in a village, in a place? Huh? Is it nice? Russia is okay. Unlikely worse than Romania. I mean, okay, you know, like, if you want to live there, I'm not going to stop you. It's a wonderful place, I heard. It's very beautiful, picturesque, yes. But again, not Moscow or St. Petersburg. Just go into more inland areas. But yeah, so I dislike the West, and Australia in particular. I don't care if it's worse, my evil country deserves it. Unfortunately, though, Australia is very far away from Russia. And that's fine, you know, like, maybe you'll have a conflict with China. And then you're going to enjoy it. But anyway, right, so those are like the two groups of people that like Russia, right? The actual people within Russia, which I understand. And then you have the people from within the West that do not like their governments, and because of that, they support Russia. But what I don't understand is when I am giving proper assessments of what I am seeing, why the fuck do you contradict me? Like, do you get a hard-on? Like, look, I understand that you're rooting. Like, imagine watching football, because pretty much, like, this is what it is for most people, right? It's like watching a football game. It's like a sport. I'm going on Twitter, and everyone has their flags in their bio, even though they're not from Ukraine. Like, you see someone with a Ukrainian flag, and you're like, a based Eastern European. He's clearly going to have some interesting takes. And then you start talking with them, and they have, like, the most fringe, far, radical, liberal shit ever imaginable spewing out of their keyboard, and you're like, oh, wait, they're a California person. Why the fuck do they have a Ukrainian flag? They can't even point it on the map, you know? So, those are, like, the things that... What I don't get is, like, from the beginning... I have stated a lot of things that came true. Like, if you do not say Russia wins flawless victory, like, these people are going to just immediately spurg out at you. And I was saying, like, yeah, I don't think it's going well for Russia. I don't think it's winning. You know, it's like, no, nonsense. Look at the size of it. And in 2 weeks, it's going to be over. And I'm like, no, I think like it's not going so well. And it's been like what, like 1 year from then, and they're still holding up. So like maybe just shut the fuck up. And by the way, like I never said that. Like if you watch the video that I made this morning, I didn't say who's going to win. Right? I said that it's going to be up to the Kremlin. Like if the Kremlin, if Putin decided to support the chief of the Wagner group and Putin minister, then that's the only way he wins. Otherwise, he can't win. That's what I said. Was I right? Well, it seems I was right because he's backing out. Oh my fucking god, V! Holy shit, you were right in your assessment. Jesus, oh god, how did you? Oh no. Well, I'm going to wait for your next assessment so I can be a contrarian twat. The beady man wished so hard for a civil war that he managed to create one. Yeah, except halfway across the globe, I guess. And by the way, this is what a civil war actually would look like. It's not like, oh my god, January 6th, like some people without weapons entered our capital. Like we have F-15s and nukes and we don't know what to do. Yeah, or F-16s, 15s. Do the Kremlin remove Putin after this embarrassment? I do not think they will while the conflict is still going. The only reason is that change of leadership while you're in the middle of a conflict is not within anyone's interests. So it's very unlikely. Let's put it like this. But after the conflict, even if he wins, then it's still going to get Putin to be checked. But like, to be honest, I do think that Putin is really unwell. Health. Because like look at the way he even gave the speech today. Like you can see that he's moving constantly. He's got like you can see that he's in chronic pain just by looking at his face. And this is like what a lot of people from the West have also said, that they're diagnosing him with cancer, like pancreatic or something, or Alzheimer, another illness. Like he could have both. But yeah, no, like even if he was healthy, which I doubt. It's still very old, right? So like chances are you're not going to have much more of a Putin presidency, but you may get like what's his name, Prigozhin? How do you pronounce it? Prigozhin? Huh? He's the second most popular man in Russia right now. And this is interesting because when they talk to each other, they refuse to name one another, right? So like it's almost like both men knew that the other one is the second most popular, at least in their mind. So yeah, you're probably going to have President Prigozhin. The thing is, Russia is a nation with many ethnicities, right? Like if you wonder what diversity, inclusion, and equity, because this is what I don't get. You know, like a lot of people simp for Russia, especially in the West, and the ones that simp for it is because they don't like the diversity that's happening in their countries. And I'm like, okay, Russia has went through that process while it was the Soviet Union. Russia has more ethnicities in it than the United States. It has even more languages spoken than within the United States. Russia is very diverse. Like, it's filled with diversity. Unfortunately, in order to hold all these ethnicities together, you do need an iron fist, which is why Russia is always going to have a dictator. Like, if it's not Putin, it's going to have someone else. And the moment you don't have a dictator, well, you're going to have a Prigozhin. And notice how Putin managed to stop Prigozhin, right? Like, you need the strong man in order to be able to lead Russia. Because otherwise, well, civil war. And Temple gets happy. That sound probably doesn't exist in English. No, I think it's Prigozhin. Prigozhin. Huh? Prigozhin? The thing is, like, I do not trust the English reporters to pronounce him correctly. Well, Prigozhin. Yeah, Prigozhin. I think this is how you pronounce it. Prigozhin. Anyway. TVMe is saying World War. Oh my fucking god, you know, like, you can't say World War for the last 6 years, and then when it eventually happens, you say that you called it. It doesn't fucking work that way. Imagine if I keep throwing darts at you know, while being blindfolded, and I keep throwing darts, and I'll say, oh, I'm going to hit the red circle, and you keep throwing for like 5 days, and eventually, see, I told you I can do it. It's like, what the fuck? Prigozhin? Prigozhin. Oh my god, see? Prigozhin. It's not Prigozhin. It's Prigozhin. It's not Prigozhin. It's Prigozhin. I do know a little bit of Russian. Prigozhin? I don't think it's Prigozhin. I don't think it's Prigozhin. I think it's Prigozhin. Prigozhin or Prigozhin, but it's definitely not Prigozhin. It's not Prigozhin. No, it's either Prigozhin or Prigozhin. Anyway, that's not even his real... Do you know that apparently he is Putin's chef? Like the cook. I'm not kidding. Like he was actually called the cook. Like this is literally a spat between Putin and his cook. He operates many restaurants. One in Moscow in particular that Putin likes to frequent. He also used to work at a hot dog stand. Fun fact. Was he also at the School of Life, which you call the prison? I think he may have been. I need to look. But like he had a very interesting life. Ivan Negrozny. See, I can pronounce Negrozny. He's from Russia. How's it going? I heard that only 25% of the people have internet in Russia. Ivan Negrozny. Be honest. If you could choose to live in Romania right now, would you not pick that option? Like, would you... Like if I was to give you Romanian citizenship and a nice hacienda in Romania, would you say no to that? Tell me. Negrozny. Would you come over here? We got Ushikushi ladies. I don't know if that has Ushikushi as the Russian one. Like, the more you go eastern, like, the more you travel east, you go through East Europe, very beautiful women, and then you go even eastern to Bessarabia. Oh, my God. And some of the Russian women as well. We'll see. Why do you say he won't admit it? Maybe he wants to. Although, he lives in Poland. See? He doesn't live in Russia, so there we go. Can he make good hot dogs? Well, I think so. If he's Putin's chef, I assume. You don't have gun rights in Romania, and in Poland we do. See, he checkbaited me. Like, I can't have a response to that. That is some irrefutable arguments right there. Only if I get the Romanian lady running the Kami House Museum in Bald and Bankrupt's videos, her accent was so clean, I fell in love immediately. Oh, I see. Anyway, right, so, what probably happened today? Why are the mercenaries upset? There's two reasons why mercenaries get upset. Number one, if you don't pay them. Number two, if they die. Right? So mercenaries prefer to stay alive and get paid. I know, it's astonishing, right? So they probably struck a deal. I assume, though, that they didn't expect Belarus to immediately pledge support for the Russian forces, and probably they got some word. It's like, hey, the men aren't going to be willing to fight, but Putin also probably got a wake-up call, because just, you know, within hours they were into almost close to Moscow. A couple of helicopters refused to follow orders and fire. They had soldiers defecting towards Prigozhin. So, yeah, I don't think, like, one of the factions held more power than another, but it was probably a thing of, like, look, if we do this, Ukraine is going to fuck us in the ass. I think, like, this is what they talk. So, like, Putin were like, okay, well, look, Belarus is going to help me, so are you sure you want to do this? And Prigozhin probably went no. That's what I think. But we'll never know, though, because all of these dealings are done behind closed doors. So you don't really know what took place. Could have been even as simple as a cash payment, you know, like he wanted a little bit more extra. Who the fuck knows? But there was something bizarre. I will tell you, like when I looked at the video, I found something that caught my eye. So Prigozhin, he goes and shows like an entire pile of bodies, right, to the camera. So he shows like a lot of wounded men. Sorry, a lot of dead men, dead soldiers. But for some fucking reason, they're censored. So like, this is what I don't understand. It's a little bit bizarre. You want to make a video when you show people at home the horrors of war, right? Like that's your thing. It's like, look how many people died. Why would you censor literally what you want to show? And apparently he uploaded the video censored. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but it was very bizarre. Very, I generally did not understand that. So, like, imagine if I want to show you something, and I literally censored the thing that I want to show you. It's like, you know, these are my glasses, and I censored them. It's like, why, right? That was a little bit weird. But maybe he censored it for the terms of service. So that's not the main issue. That's not the main problem. The main problem is that he complains that he doesn't have ammunition, right? Like, he only gets 30% of ammunition required. So I was told by a lot of Russians that this is a conspiracy theory spread by the Allies during World War II in order to make Russia look bad. But apparently now we're in 2023 and the Russian mercenaries are complaining that they don't have munition. Okay. So you don't have munition and your first state of mind, it's like, let's invade Moscow? That's a little bit weird. I mean, look, I'm not saying it's impossible, but like, to me, it didn't sound very logical. Let's put it like this. Okay, does it sound logical to you? Like, okay, well, we don't have ammo. We keep dying to the Ukraine. Okay, let's invade Moscow. Don't you need ammunition to siege a city? Like last time I checked, you need ammunition to siege a city. Because it's difficult. You know, like how many days they tried to siege Kiev? I would assume Moscow is a little bit more defended, but yeah, it just struck me as weird. Ammunition or munitions, isn't it the same fucking thing? The things that go into the fucking rifles. It's pronounced Prigozhin, by the way. Prigozhin. Oh my god, I finally get... Oh, thank you, bipedal species. You opened my eyes. See, now the other possibility is that it was a psyop. I love it. It was a psyop. In order to allow the Ukrainians to make advances so that they can get encircled. This type of tactic works only on your home territory. Right? In order to do this encirclement thing, like... So a fake route, basically, is what you're saying. Like, they tried a fake route. Yeah, this only works on your home territory. It doesn't work if you're invading another nation. It's very, and not to mention, the amount of people that need to like... I mean, look. It is possible, but very unlikely. You would, like, all those mercenaries, right, that are told, all right, we're going into Moscow, would have to follow orders, and they know it's like, okay, but if we go into Moscow and we get captured, we're going to be trialed for treason. It's not very nice, you know. It's not something that mercenaries are willing to put up with. Like, most of them would have probably, like, if it was like literally a ruse, some of them could have deserted. And then they don't come back because they're like, what the fuck is this shit? So, yeah. I don't think it was like a fake coup. I do think like it was legit. Like, they probably negotiated behind closed doors and reached an agreement. That's the most likely scenario. That's my Occam's razor. Russian police tried to arrest him before and he escaped. Then he hid among his soldier. This is probably the only chance for him to keep his status. And yeah, like, they probably negotiated. It's like, hey, don't imprison me. I was like, okay, fine. That's more likely that it was a psyop. Why do English speakers pronounce Armenian names like they are ethnicities? I don't know. It wasn't a coup at all. You see, it's like, okay, so let's say it was a fake coup. Like in Turkey. Like in Turkey, it was a bullshit coup. What exactly did they win? What was the point? Because at least in Turkey, I knew what was the point. In Turkey, it was immediately after the coup, they started arresting the opposition. They started arresting teachers, judges. Like, Erdogan went mad with power. Right? Like, after that. So I could understand why in Turkey you would say it was a fake coup. But like here, what exactly did they get? The only thing they gained is Putin losing respect. The video in which he asked for munition is 3 months old. He got it from there. And he stocked it so he can use it in the future. Oh, I see. Yeah, so, no, it's quite likely that the Russians actually did the friendly fire in their mercenary forces. And people who get friendly fire that aren't very happy. Hello, V and chat. Hope you are all doing well and your day has been good. Well, it was a very interesting news day. More like gaining it. He declared them traitors and turned them around without actually doing anything major. The sheer force of will. Yeah, but like the very fact that it fucking happened is the problem. I mean, imagine if it happened in the United States under Biden. How would you feel? Like if a mercenary company in the United States, I don't know, like BlackRock or some shit. Sorry, Blackwater, not BlackRock. Like Blackwater in the United States, right? If it started marching towards Washington, D.C., how would you feel? I would feel upset if I was an American, not to mention. But yeah, no, like imagine in the United States, right? Like certain, like a group of Marines, you know, like they break up from the official military and they turn around and they march towards Washington, D.C. Like even if they get stopped, yeah, sure, like the reputation wouldn't be as damaged as if they don't get stopped, but it still looks pretty fucking bad, doesn't it? Blackwater, yeah. You say, you say fed. Yeah, but like, this is something that the Americans won't even be able to comprehend. Like, what do you mean, like, our mercenary groups are turning against them? What the fuck is that? What the fuck? BlackRock, Blackwater, same shit. I know, I laughed at my joke as well. If it was Russia military, sure, but this was a PMC, so it's not the army turning. Okay, I'll tell you what is the thing with the private military company. Russia has been using the Wagner thing in order to be able to get away with things internationally that normally it wouldn't, right? So like they're invading Crimea, and the mercenaries go in and they do cause shit. Like sometimes they may commit atrocities or whatever. And Russia goes like, well, they're not our guys, you know, like we don't know. Someone else hired them. We just, right? So it was like a way to wash, in a way to have plausible the deniability on an international scale. Like this is what happened with Bessarabia. So with Bessarabia, it's like, oh, well, a group of the Russian military has splintered off and, you know, they're now a military enclave and they took over Transnistria and we don't know. Like, we're Russians and, you know, we would love to give you Bessarabia, but like, what can we do? They don't follow orders anymore. So this is the situation. Like Russia has done this historically. Like this is you know, like every single empire has its own way of doing things, and Russia like has like, oh well, you know, these guys, they're not ours, but they just splintered off and they're doing their own thing, right? America does its own things, usually with false flags and shit. Russia does it another way. Like every empire has its own way of dealing with things. Like Hungary, for example, claims that territory which is not its own belongs to it, right? So they can have a cause belli. Oh, Transylvania is ours. Oh, give us back Transylvania or we invade. You know, like that type of thing. And then they do this with all their neighbors, I think. Except the ones in the West. Those are too strong. But like, okay, so, back to the topic at hand. It's like a free tech unlock in the Europea Universalis 4. Yes. So you have like this private military force, which is yours, literally. I mean, we saw it now. Like when the private military attacks, it's called a civil war. Because they're fucking Russians. Like all of them are Russians. And even they go, it's like, oh, these are our sons and our fathers and blah, blah, blah. So you know, they're technically not part of the military, but in reality, they're expected to be. Let's put it like that. Right? Like, it's not like the United States is going to hire the Wagner and use them against the Russians. Because if they were legitimately mercenary groups, then that could have been possible, but it doesn't work that way. A lot of Wagners are ex-Russian military or FSB agents. Despite the fact that they're mercenaries, they're still loyal to Russia. Well, this is what I'm trying to explain to people, right? Like, they're saying, well, they're not military guys. I mean, yes and no. Officially, they're not. Unofficially, they are. Right? That's the explanation. It's a mutiny, technically. That's the word for it. Mercs didn't get paid, and I don't think it's because they didn't get paid. I think it's because they got friendly fired. Like, most people do not appreciate when your side fires rockets at them. They get upset. They get upset in a video game. Imagine in real life. Like, you know, you get a missile strike from your own forces. It's not nice. It's not pleasant. So I think that's what pissed them off. Regarding the payment, I don't know. I mean, maybe they are paid. I've no clue. I haven't heard them complain about payment. But I did hear them complain about lack of munitions. I assume if they don't get munitions, they probably didn't get paid either. I'd say they call Wagner does privateering. Yeah, I mean, I think like they have a foothold in Africa as well. They're not pleasant people to deal with. No evidence for it. What we do know is that their contract expired and they were going to be rolled into the Russian army and get their pay cut from 10,000 to 1,000 a month. I mean, yeah, that would probably piss them off. Again, like, mercenaries are very simple folk. Like, they just want two things. They prefer to be alive, and they prefer to get a paycheck. That's literally it. The moment the war goes sideways, like, this is what I told to the anarcho-capitalists, which don't fucking understand history. Because, like, anarcho-capitalists are like, okay, so how are you going to defend your shit? Like, what military? Oh, well, we're going to have, like, mercenaries. Yeah, okay. Mercenaries, the moment you lose the battle, they run away. They don't have loyalty to your country. They have no reason to keep fighting. Right? It's kind of like, imagine, like, having a cashier at the store. When someone pulls a gun at them, they're not going to risk their life for your shit. I mean, sometimes they may, but, like, most of the times they choose not to. But anyway, right, so, how long until Prigozhin has an accident? Well, it's a really interesting thing, because I don't think, like, he's going to have an accident while the conflict still rages. Because like, this is the problem with Putin, you know, like, he wants the mercenaries, like, he needs them. They're some of the most hardened veterans that he's got. I mean, they went to some of the most difficult battles in Ukraine, so he needs them, on one hand. He prefers not to fight with them, right? Because then, if you fight with them, you lose them. So he is in a tight spot, which is why I assume they probably struck a deal behind closed doors. The whole situation for the last 7 years is way too similar to the Metal Gear Solid series in terms of chronology. We are in the 80s Metal Gear, and the mercenaries are like the big boss's army. I have not played all the Metal Gears because I didn't have a console when I grew up, so I don't know. Prigozhin is just the field commander. Yeah, but it doesn't matter. Like, he is the second most popular man in Russia right now, and the soldiers would not appreciate seeing one of their field commanders getting assassinated. Right? So, I mean, look. If the man goes, it's like, alright, well, let's march into Moscow, and the soldiers are following him. Like, that tells me a lot more than everything I need to know. I don't care what rank he has, I don't care who he is, I don't know about his history, but, like, imagine a man in the United States that would say something like, let's march to the capital, and people would actually march. You know, like, you would kind of notice, yeah, like, I think this man is a little bit too politically engaged. He's, way too charismatic to be able to, like, get rid of him with an assassination attempt. This is what Putin needed to get rid of the Shoigu dude. I don't know. Like, it would be interesting if that's his choice, but I don't think so. Do you think Putin wishes this never started and wants it all to go away? I have absolutely no doubt. Like, at this point, even if he wins the conflict, and by winning, like, it really depends, like, what exactly does that look like. I mean, his reputation is ruined. His reputation is tarnished. I generally do not think that he's going to... Even if he wins, he's going to step down. They are going to release the Metal Gear collection 1 to 3 soon. Oh, I'll try it. They probably have, like, really old graphics, don't they? So I'll have to adjust myself to that. Putin likes Shoigu, he's loyal. Yeah, but that's the problem, you know, like, It's not necessarily about loyalty, it's about competence. Like when you're in an active warfare, you want competent people. Like Stalin found out when he killed his generals, and then when he actually went to war, he was like, oh shit, well, I have very loyal generals, but they're a little bit incompetent. Anyway, let's talk a little bit about the sub. The Oceania Gate thing. So the United States military apparently knew about the sub since it imploded. That it does seem that it would have, like we can't know for sure. But if they collaborate the exact time that the noise was heard with the moment since it went underwater, we would know exactly how long it took until it imploded. Like, did it implode literally right after they descended? Or, there was another story that they heard banging every 30 minutes and, like maybe they were on the bottom of the ocean somewhere and it imploded over there. The question is, like, why did the U.S. military wait, right? And a lot of people are saying, well, it's the Biden administration that wanted to distract people, blah, 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 blah. I think that's unlikely, to be honest. Because if they want to distract people, they can use other news sources. I do think that the way information goes through the military ranks, like from when it happens up until they go up the chain and they're talking about it, right? Because like what the Navy hears on those microphones is classified, so they need to declassify it. So they have to get it up the chain and the paperwork and stuff until they can release it to the public. I think that's more likely. I think that's why they didn't say anything. I'm late to the stream. Have you received the info that Wagner is no longer marching on Moscow? Yeah, we talked about it. So yeah, they need confirmation. You got like Operation Security and stuff. It is devastating what happened to the families and what they went through. I mean, imagine like your loved one, right? Your close relative, and you think that they're on the bottom of the ocean right now in a freezing tin can with no place to shit, no place to take a piss, surrounded by 5 other people. I mean, Jesus fucking Christ. So you think that's happening for like 92 hours. But in reality, if the implosion thing actually took place right after, as they were descending, apparently they didn't even realize what happened. The death is so instant that it should probably be considered as a humane method of execution. Unironically, because in America they're still talking like in some states they still give prisoners a chance between the electric chair and getting shot. And I'm thinking, well, hold on a bit. If there's like a way where you can get executed in an instant and you don't feel anything, like wouldn't that be? Yeah, there was a restroom, but it wasn't designed to be used for several days. Like they had like this little restroom that you take a shit next to all the other people, because it was like the back of a van where you can't even get up. Like you have to sit down constantly, and you would literally see the other person taking a shit. It's like having a bucket, pretty much. So yeah, I mean, it's it is something awful. But yeah, so if that's the case, if they died in the descent, then they didn't suffer, at least. But what really annoys me, and this is the interesting part why I talk, people like Hassan Piker and other individuals, they're celebrating about it. You know, like literally, they're happy. And I'm like literally curious, you know, like I was thinking, like, is there any human on the planet Earth that if they would die tomorrow, it would make me happy? And I generally couldn't think of any. Like, I tried really hard, you know, like, even on, like, political, because I'm very political, as you guys know, and I was thinking, okay, you know, like, right-wingers really don't like, George Soros, right? And let's say that, you know, George Soros is very old, let's say that he passes away from old age. Would I really be happy about it? I mean, probably not, because, like, even, like, from a like, if we're going to be, like, incredibly cynical, right, like, super cynical, like, would it make the world a better place from a right-wing conservative perspective? Not really, because, like, you have someone else replacing him. I mean, even Klaus Schwab, you know, like, if he passes away, there's someone else replacing him. Like, it's not like it makes the world a better place. right? So with that out of the way, I genuinely like do not feel happiness if someone dies. Like at most I feel indifference. Like I hear the news and I go like, oh, okay, you know, meh. I mean, it happened, I guess, you know, all right. Yeah, even the head of BlackRock or Fauci, I'm like, okay, you know, I mean, yeah, sure, interesting. But like, I guess, you know, like, it's also that my mother taught me not to speak ill of the dead. Like, it's something that you do out of politeness. Like, even if I enjoyed the fact that so I would think, okay, well, now the world is a better place because this person passed away. I still wouldn't say bad things about them because it's a common decorum, right? Like, what do you gain by saying bad things about someone passing? Nothing. Absolutely. So why say it? How dare the Russians pull this shit during Pride Month? Oh my fucking god, that's a good burn. I have empathy for the people, but the left were just ghouls making fun of their deaths. And they're mad that they donated to the GOP. Well, it's part of the billionaire meta to donate to everything. Like, you have, like, this person that celebrates diversity. Like, he's not a GOP supporter. He probably donated money to the DNC as well. And I do not understand why would they say, oh my god, well, you donate, but what does donating money to the GOP has to do? So like if AOC was there, right, which is also a billionaire, well, that would be a different issue. Then we cry and we're sad and right. So it's like the political affiliation, not the wealth. It's also interesting, like Hassan Piker, right? Like he's laughing that rich people died. Hassan, you're rich. I saw your sports car. I saw the mansion you fucking live in. Like, the fact that they managed to separate themselves from the rich while still being rich is the same thing that they do when they separate themselves from being revolutionaries despite the fact that they're in power. It's the same thing that they do when they shame other people for wanting big boobs in video games when they watch furry porn. It's like they literally do the same fucking thing they criticize, but they consider themselves above it. No, seriously, like, think about it, like, every single fucking time, right? So, like, when I go to Twitter and I say I want big boobs in video games, I get attacked and get called a pervert, right? And when I look on their timeline, they watch furry porn. So the fucking furry attacks me for saying that I like feminine characters in video games, right? When you have, like, people that are woke, and you have, like, the Democrats which are in power that are woke, corporations that are woke, the largest wealthiest corporations like BlackRock are woke. Every single flag from embassies in the United States show their wokeness, right? And you're LARPing as you're a revolutionary, really? And you're talking about punching up and punching down when you have like all the trust and safety on social medias like defending you and being in your corner. Like literally, they're constantly enjoying something and accusing other people of doing the same things that they're doing. I mean, even the thing where they say only white people can be racist. In other words, we can be racist as much as we fucking want, but you can't do it because if you do it, you get fired. Who says these rules? How hard it is not to be racist? Just don't fucking be racist. It's not that hard. But no, they can't. Their entire ideology is constructed about race. And I will tell you why that doesn't make sense, right? They will say, only white people can be racist. Okay, so let's assume that's the case, right? Like, if you are born wrong, you're the only one that can be racist. Everyone else can't be. Okay. They will also say that people of color can also be white supremacists. Like, look at their articles. There are articles in the mainstream media which claim that people of color can be white supremacists, right? So you can have like a Muslim that's against LGBT laws, and he's a white supremacist according to the progressive media, right? And the same progressive media is saying that only white people can be racist. So therefore, white supremacy is what they consider to be like the worst form of racism, right? So only white people can be racist. White supremacy is the worst form of racism. Non-white people can also be white supremacists. How the fuck does that make any sense? Do you not listen to what you fucking say? How can, like, honestly, like, these people should be mocked and ridiculed wherever they go. Yeah, the black face of white supremacy, according to the LA Times. Like, there are news articles about this constantly, non-stop. They're talking about this all the fucking time. It's just like, white supremacy. Like anyone. Okay, like here's another one, right? Only white people can be racist. White supremacy is the worst form of racism. If you vote for Donald Trump, you're a racist. And there's other minorities that vote for Donald Trump. Therefore, they're white supremacists. It's like, fuck. Yet leftists always crying about hypocrisy in Christians, throwing stone at glass houses. At least Christians have some principles. Yeah, like at least the fucking Christian does have some principles. Like, for example, a Christian doesn't blaspheme. Like, this is a principle. They don't fucking blaspheme. They know it's wrong, right? Sex outside of marriage. Like, Christians would know it's wrong. If you go to a Christian which has sex outside of marriage, isn't going to say, yeah, but like God actually allows me to do it. No, he's going to be ashamed. Like, you can literally shame a Christian for doing something that's unchristianic. Just because I find you stupid doesn't mean I want you dead. A lesson old people thought as I grew up, but people seem to have amnesia because they don't practice this now. I never heard about that, but it's true, right? Like, just because I don't find you stupid doesn't mean I want you dead. That's such a good saying. Yeah, but like seriously, think about it. Like, Christians, if you show them a quote in the Bible, at least they would admit, yeah, like, this is wrong. Yeah, you're right. Then, to be honest, you do have like some hypocritical Christians. I'm not going to name names. They're more modern, I suppose. And they will say stuff like, I never said I'm a good Christian. And when I hear that, it's like, okay, so if you never said you're a good Christian, why do you moralize me? I'm not a good Christian either. Shut the fuck up. Right? So like, there are people who use Christianity as a weapon. So like, they will not follow the Christian teachings, right? Maybe they will drink a lot. They will curse a lot. They will attack other people, like behave in a completely non-Christian manner. Go through divorces. Be like some of the worst human beings ever. And when you point it out, they will say, "Oh well, I never said I'm a good Christian." But they will also lecture you, and it's like, "Oh well, you're gay, so God doesn't." It's just. Yeah, but the thing with confession, see, like, if you actually understand the religion, like, many people do not understand how Christianity works, right? Because they will say something like, so, like, if Hitler confessed his sins, he would go to heaven. And the thing is, like, it would be very difficult for Hitler to confess his sins after committing suicide, because how can you do that? Like suicide is considered, at least in Orthodox Christianity. Like, I know in evangelical Christianity they don't consider it. They consider like all sins to be equal. But in Orthodox Christianity, suicide is considered one of the greatest sins. And not only that, it's like there's an explanation for it. Like, how can you repent after you die? Because like you killed yourself. So when do you repent? You can't. Like, right? So, but let's assume that like Hitler would have time before he died in order to repent. The only way confession works is like if you truly mean it. And like, take into account that according to the Christian mythos, God actually knows what's in your heart, so you can't lie to him. Like, you need to legitimately and unironically be sorry for what you did. And if you are like that, then God gives you a second chance. So that's like the Christian ethos, right? Which a lot of people don't understand. They think, oh, well, so I can go sin, and then I go to confession, and then I can go sin again. It's not how it works. Like, that's not how the ideology functions, Ballcraft. Listen to me, because I'm telling you important shit. The way the Christian ideology functions is that when you go to confession, you genuinely not only feel sorry, but you need to at least try not to do that thing again. Right? So, with Jesus dying, be God committing suicide, since Jesus is God? Kind of not, because he didn't... like he tried not to die, right? He did ask at the Gethsemane garden, if I remember correctly, not to be put through that. And then, he also had the resurrection. So no. And it's not like they're the same, they're the same being, but they have like different attributes. It's something of Christianity that I personally never understood either, because like technically you have three gods, but they're one, right? And you have heresies where they say like, no, they're actually different, but like they are different entities in a way. Like, sorry, they have like different personalities. Because like there is a passage in the Bible where Jesus says that he doesn't know when the end of the world is coming. Only his Father knows. So basically, like that, yes, they are the same being with different personalities, and like they some of them know and do things that others don't. Right. That's the idea. Many Christians overlook this. Ironically, it's ironic that I'm an atheist and I know Christian dogma better than Christians. Dude, he was literally God and he couldn't stop it. Yeah, he could. But like the reason he didn't is because of the mission and the requirement of a sacrifice in order to wash away the sins. And a lot of people go, it's like, well, why couldn't God just wash away the sins without the sacrifice? And it's like, yeah, but like for Christians, they feel a lot easier to stop committing sins if they think like, oh, look what. So basically, it's like, again, like a lot of Christianity is about shame. Unironically, I know that Christians don't agree with me, but like a lot of their religion is literally about guilt. Not shame, sorry, guilt. Like you need to feel guilty, right? So if you believe unironically that Jesus existed and he went through all of that for you, you feel guilty and you don't want to commit sin. Because you're thinking like, oh my God, like look through the torture that he endured, right? Like God went down from heaven and endured all of this for me. I shouldn't let him down. So that's the reason. But again, like atheists don't understand this. And by atheists, I don't mean all of them. I mean like the ones with the fedora that go, it's like, oh, so why couldn't God just wash away the sins? It's like, well, it's actually a well-crafted story. Like, again, I don't believe in it, but philosophically speaking, right, it's very well-crafted if it held up for thousands of years. And that is like, imagine that it's real, right? Like, let's imagine that if you're an atheist, the Bible is legitimately real, and it's historical dogma, like everything that happened in it is true. So you have a God, right, which, in order to get people to believe, he goes on earth himself, like he spreads a part of himself, like the sun, goes on earth, endures the worst torture imaginable, and then ascends back to heaven. Now, the people who know that story are going to feel very guilty in disappointing that God, because it's like, well, look what he did for me, you know, like I shouldn't disappoint him. So that's probably that's the reason why it's like that, because it's kind of like something given for free has no value, right? So like if you just wash away the sins, there's nothing stopping people from sinning again. But if you do it in a way that it makes people feel that they're it's not necessarily that they earn it, but it makes them feel guilty, then they're more likely to actually follow through. I'm 50-50. I like Jesus. I don't read the Bible. And I know my pagan roots and I like them too. I personally don't like Christianity because it's easily exploitable as a religion, and we see this happening in the present. I mean, the Pope is very woke. You have people that can literally use Christianity against you with the turn the other chick stuff. It's a nice religion if everyone believes in it. But when you have like outside forces, whether they be Marxist, Islamic, or, you know, like other individuals that try to use Christianity against itself, it's very effective. You can't do this with Islam. Like, it's very difficult to use Islam against itself. You can't do this with Marxism. It's very difficult to use Marxism against it. With Christianity, it's very easy to use it against itself. And this is why I don't consider it to be a strong religion. Unless, of course, the entire nation believes in Christ. If the entire nation believes in Christ and you don't have any outside forces, it's a very beautiful religion. The Bible is great. He dies in the end, though. The Bible has a lot of good philosophy, man. Like, it's got a lot of good life advice. You know, like before Andrew Tate, people had the Bible, was very effective. So, yeah, I personally do recommend people, if they want to, you know, like you can read some Christian philosophy and it's really good. I mean, it's still for 2,000 years, right? So even if you don't believe, it's still good shit. I don't know about other, I think Buddhism may also have some good philosophy. I don't know anything about the Islamic faith though, you know, besides the Quran. But I think like for the Islamic faith, in order to benefit from its philosophy, you need to live in a Sharia place. You know, like you need to actually live among Muslims. It's got its advantages and disadvantages, I suppose, but I personally wouldn't enjoy it. Uh, how can someone taint Christianity? They don't taint it, they take advantage of it, right? Like, imagine if someone bullies you, right? So like the whole thing, like if you have two Christians, right? I'm a Christian, you're a Christian, we both believe, right? If I bully you, I think that, okay, but if I'm doing this, I'm going to hell, right? So I would stop myself from doing it because I know that while I'm punishing you now, eventually I will get punished tenfold, right? So I don't bully you. But if I'm an atheist and you're a Christian and I bully you, I don't give a fuck because there's no punishment in the afterlife, right? And you have to turn the other cheek constantly. Like you constantly have to be kind, you have to be nice with me, right? Because you do believe in a heaven, you do believe in a hell, but I fucking don't. So I can abuse your kindness, I can abuse your goodwill, right? And you can't do anything against me. And it's not. This is why I don't like it as a overwhelming philosophy, because you become a pushover. But in a world where everyone was a Christian, like in a nation where everyone believes in heaven and hell, then things are different. But if you also want to see how Christianity can be used against itself, look at the Pope. You know, it gets even deeper than that. I mean, the Pope is woke as fuck, right? Like almost every single progressive issue, he can justify it, except I guess for abortions, because then he would have a schism in the church. That's modern as fuck. I only need to turn the cheek with my brother, not with a non-believer. I don't think that's mentioned in the Bible, though. I mean, that's your interpretation, but like most people don't interpret it as such, right? And it becomes I mean, think about it. You know, Jesus comes down there, and no one else is a Christian when he's there, right? Because like the whole reason it's called Christianity is because it has Christ in the name, right? So you have like people that do not believe in Christianity, and Jesus still treats them as equals. You know, he washes their feet and all of that. So I don't think your interpretation is necessarily correct. I don't think like you should only turn the other cheek to a Christian brother. I think you should turn the other cheek to everyone. As a Christian libertarian, my belief in Jesus is real, but the fundamentalists are mental because they take it word for word. For example, the earth is over 20,000 years. What are you smoking? Also, V, do you have the right to defend yourself? Interpretable. Like, there are passages that give you the right to defend yourself, and there are passages that don't. I mean, socialism as an ideology came from Christianity. Like, they use certain passages in order to justify it. At least the Quran simplifies this issue, because they probably looked at the Bible, and they were like, okay, well, they have a problem with this. And the Quran is like chronological order. If the Quran says something and then contradicts itself, then the thing that came later, that is the one that you need to follow. With the Bible, it's not like that. With the Bible, you have passages that contradict each other. Like even the resurrection, for example. Like there are two ways of reading the Bible, by the way. So you have like the way that you read it from beginning to end. And then you have the way of reading it sideways. So you take the Gospels and you basically read the same event described by the different apostles, right? And in the case of the resurrection, like some describe that the stone was still covering the tomb. Another one is like, no, the stone was removed. Right? So you get like these contradictions. And I'm talking about the blatant ones, but there are other smaller ones. And how do you solve them? Right? Now, the church, throughout thousands of years, have interpreted that they consider like what is correct and what isn't. But this is why you have different denominations. This is why you have the Catholics and the Orthodox. And then they actually fought each other because of the church schism. And from that schism, you have many other denominations. You have evangelicals, you have the Mormons, you have, right, like you got everyone else that has a different take, a different interpretation. And it's due to literally the way that the Bible is written. It's like you have passages contradicting each other. So to go back to American Outlier, that you do have the right to defend yourself, it depends. It depends who you're asking. You know, like there are certain denominations that will say, no, you don't have the right to defend yourself under any circumstance. There are other denominations that say, yeah, you do. I mean, the Crusades, right? Not the ones towards the Muslims, but like there were crusades against the what is it, like yeah, in France. There was a crusade against the regions of France. They had like a different sect which believed that believed in a heresy. They believe that Jesus is so they believe that the God that created the earth is evil, right? So the Father is evil, and the church, the Catholic Church, works for Satan and is evil. Jesus was good, and only through Jesus can you achieve salvation, and you can achieve it by emulating his life. The Cathars, okay, so the Cathars believe that if you behave like Jesus, so you give away all of your earthly possessions, and you travel just with your robes on your back, and you go around and you help people, that's how you achieve salvation. And obviously that's what the fanatics were doing. But by fanatics I mean like the most fervent believers. But no, like the overwhelming majority of people were starting in that particular region, which was like in southern of France. They became Catharians, and it was spreading like wildfire. So the Catholic Church felt threatened because it realized, oh shit, it's like we can't argue against them because, yeah, like from the eyes of the peasants, we do look evil. Like the Pope sits on a golden throne. We have the Inquisition. We control almost everything. You know, like it was viewed kind of like the World Economic Forum, the Catholic Church at the time. So the only way to stop it was to declare a crusade against them. But in order to declare a crusade against them, like you don't have any passage in the Bible that justifies that you should declare a crusade against the Catharians, which believed in Jesus Christ, you know, but like they have a different interpretation. So that's my point, you know, like the Bible is very easy to interpret in different means. It has been done so throughout history. And of course, most people believe in the interpretation that their parents did. So like if you're born from Mormon parents, you're going to believe in Mormon. If you're born from Orthodox parents, you're being an Orthodox Christian. It's not like people get to read all of these interpretations and decide for themselves. They also purged the Knight Templars when they returned from Jerusalem for praising Jesus' mentor more than him. I did not know that. Are we the baddies, the Catholic Church? Yeah, the Catholic Church has been a somewhat negative influence throughout history, that I say. I know it will piss off a lot of people. It kind of makes sense because they had more power. But when someone accuses the Orthodox faith of being assholes, I'm like, what did they do? They burned witches, and I'm like, the Orthodox didn't burn any witch. They persecuted gay... No, the Orthodox didn't. No, I'm sorry, no. You know, like, but what about the Inquisition? No, the Orthodox didn't have an Inquisition. No. Because, like, what happens is, like, you get Romanians that listen to American woke people, and they're, like, trying to apply that ideology here, and it doesn't work. Because, like, the Orthodox literally didn't do nothing. Like, there is no atrocity. You know, they have, like, a lot of pedophiles. No, the Orthodox, no. The Orthodox did not. I'm sorry. You know, we as a Catholic American, with the Second Amendment is more important than religion. That's what gives us the right to defend ourselves. Here's the other $10 from my trolling this morning. I'm sorry I couldn't respond to you this morning, but I was, like, in town, and I was getting a haircut, as you can see. And I felt bad, because I got a lot of messages from you, and I couldn't respond. SRC Maker is the second biggest donor to my video game. No, actually, no. He's the first biggest donor to my video game. I haven't even started crowdfunding, and he helped me fund a lot of interesting things. American Outlier is the second. And I'll probably start my my Steam my Subscribe Star soon, and I'm waiting for American Outlier to start his manga as well, so that we can show it to the public. I watched this manga; it's really great. It's got interesting innovations. Can an American do a manga though? You know, like this is another thing. Like Americans, no. See, American Outlier. I'm sorry, I know I shouldn't, because you give me cash and I shouldn't speak against. You know, I shouldn't buy the hands that feed me, but Americans cannot do mangas. It doesn't work that. You have to be Japanese. Americans do comic books. You're making a comic book. I'm sorry to say that. I know it's black and white. I know it's got like Asian and Japanese art style and stuff, but it's not a manga. It's a comic book. Where can you buy the game? It's not out yet. Chat, tell me, can Americans make mangas? Can Americans make anime? Do you not need the Japanese person? Because like it's part, right? Like South Koreans don't make mangas, they make mangakas or whatever the fuck it's called. Like you need to be part of that specific, because what does anime means? It means Japan animation, right? Japanese animation. That's why anime. So he's making a comic book. A comic manga, there's no such thing. A graphic novel? I think he can make a graphic novel, yes. What if they're Japanese American? I think they need to live in Japan. Like if you're a Japanese American and you want to make a manga, you have to live in Japan. How diverse is the game? Well, I have a Japanese lady in it, so I guess it's pretty diverse. Manhwa? Yeah, manhwa. Make a poll? No, because I'm going to go now. I need to be on the Archcast. So I'll see you guys there. Thank you for watching. I need to get ready for the Archcast now. So talk to you guys later.